Here we go, we're starting to creep up now. So the highest cell is still cell number 14. That's at 3.513 volts. The cell deviation is 105 millivolts. The minimum cell voltage is 3.408. So it won't be long before I'm into the situation of a high cell disconnect. The old pesky number 14. But it's to be expected, because as I said, I completely blew the top balance of the battery pack when I tested cells. Interestingly, the minimum voltage is going down. I would have thought that should be going up. Okie dokie. So yeah, 3.52, 118 millivolts. So we're ticking up. I'll let it get up to 3.6, and then I'll start tuning it down a little bit. The other cells look pretty good. 13 is the next highest. 5's quite high as well, sorry. And number 7 being the lowest. Number 7 is, see, that's still going down. I thought an active balancer was supposed to take it from the top and pokey wokey it into the bottom. Strange. $125 millivolts. So nice and cool, just 17 degrees. So won't be long before I have to go and turn things off, I think. I'm sorry, that explains why the minimum cell voltage was decreasing. I didn't notice that the amps have tailed off. The amps in has tailed off. I actually had float voltage set at 55.5, and the inverter has gone into float mode. As it stands, I'm watching the amps that is charging the battery with on the inverter's display screen, and it was throttled down. It is going 1 amp, 3 amp, 4 amp, 2 amp, 5 amp, 2 amp. So this is already, the inverter is already throttled down. So that's going to be giving your old active balancer a chance. No, it won't, because the cells have split apart. That's the only problem with the DALY BMSs, or the DALY active balancer, is the minimum, all 16 cells need to be over the minimum setting. So consequently now I've got one at 3.378 and one at 3.6. So let's turn that down a little bit more on the old power supply, because that ain't going to cut the mustard. Oh, I've turned it all the way off, stupid boy. Right. Parameter settings. What did I have that set at? I'm going to have to turn that down to put it down to 3.3. I know that that's not great long term, but at the moment I've got one that's well up and one cell that's well down. So I need to trick the system. For this initial balance, that's me blinking LED back on, so that's us back and balancing. So I'll let that sit and do its thing for a little while. 210 millivolts of deviation. It's quite high. 209. So yeah, it's quite a good example there of where you've got one cell that's reasonably absorbed and the voltage is stuck at 3.58, and then you've got the minimum cell voltage that was at 3.4 ish, 3.42, something like that. The inverter throttled down to when it reached its float voltage. The inverter throttled down where the minimum cell hadn't absorbed. The voltage started to tick back down to where it'd settle off normally, and that took it beyond the active balancer threshold for all 16 cells. So consequently the balancing stopped and the deviation crept up right through the roof. So I do a maintenance charge. It is now just charging at 2 amps. So when you divide that out between the 16 cells, hopefully the active balancer can do something. So that's us just tickling 3.6 volts for the high cell. Deviations up at 239 millivolts. So I don't want any cutting out situation, so I'm going to kill the grid supply to the inverter. That's that kaput. And what I'll do is just with the wee WAMP Tech power supply, I'll just set that to something low like 1 amp. Maybe the 2 amps. I'll go for the 2 amps so that the DALY registers a charging current. But the active balancer doesn't need to register actually a charging current. It's only the main DALY app that needs a charging current. God, I'm at 3 amps and the DALY's still not recognised it. That is the one thing I do not like about the DALY BMS, is that anything under 2 amps, it doesn't count it. There we go. I'm now at 3 amps on the power supply. And it's still not registering it. Come on, you fucking pain in my tits. Come on. What? There we go. I'm at 3.5 amps, and that's only just recognised at a 2.3 amps input current. So that's a bit shit, but so that's it. I'll leave that hooked up just a gently Bentley tickly wickly, and I'll let it do a maintenance balance. See if we can get this back in ship shape after I screwed it up. Well, balls. No, it can't. The DALY can't go. So I've turned it off for now, the power supply off for now, and I'll let that simmer back down and settle out, and then I'll turn it back on. It's only just a very, very slight bit of brightness in the sky, so there's only a tiny amount of solar coming in at the moment. Hopefully that gives it a chance to simmer down and settle down and sort itself out. To be continued. What a pain in the tits. Well, there you go. It has only been, what, about 10 minutes since my last little screen recording, and the maximum cell voltage is down 3.45, minimum cell is 3.37. The deviations come down to 114 millivolts, 112 millivolts. Pretty soon, the minimum cell voltage, where I went into the DALY active balancer settings to trick the system to get all 16 cells over the threshold, I set that down to 3.37, which is actually too low for a normal balancing voltage setting. So to stop that, I'm going to turn the current up on the power supply up to the full fat 5 amps. Should be that. He says. There you go. 3.7, 4.6 amps going in from the Wii power supply. So I should start to see the voltages shoot back up again, and the deviation should sort of increase again. So I'm just going to have to eat, sleep and repeat this until I get the maintenance charge done, maintenance balance done. God, words are hard today. She's still plodding away, doing a maintenance balance. The only thing to really speak of note is that pesky cell number 14 is now no longer the highest. They're slowly but surely all coming into line. 14's at 3.56. So where are we? We've got cell number 4 is over 3.5, number 5 is over 3.56, cell 12, 13, 14 and 15 are now matching the cell 14. So they're slowly but surely coming back together. Cell number 7 is the slow coach. It's got some catching up to do. The other ones are falling into line quite nicely. That's all for now. I need to dive to Aldi's quick and get some bits, and then my daughter's coming over for her birthday. We're going to have a lovely Sunday roast. So I'll check in with you in a few hours time, see how it's doing. The power supply is still set to 2 amps. The DALY still doesn't read the 2 amps, but there is juice going in and flowing to keep the voltage up and absorbing. As regards solar, it's still bloody overcast, with only just a little bit of brightness coming in. The house is, peer through the window, the house is making 800 watts, 750. So that's the other good thing about the Watson energy meter that I've got, where it's so nice and bright and clear. You can have a peek through a window and you can see it clear as day, what we got coming in and what we got, well, I say, and what we got going out. You can have that as an option, but I just like to see what we've got coming in. They're still available on eBay, so and they're around about 45 quid. money well spent. They're discontinued new old stock, but I highly recommend Watson. Yeah, it's a brilliant little display thing. And again, it helps to save money because we can clearly, easily see, even mum with her poor eyesight with macular degeneration, even she can see the numbers and the colours and knows now, she knows that, right, I've got energy to burn or I've got to go and turn something off. So I'll waffle on again later. Bye for now. DALY Active 1 amp balancer is absolutely smashing it so far, and that's just after one maintenance balance run, where you just left the power supply turned on and let it do its thing overnight, pretty much, yesterday. Looking pretty promising so far. Hopefully the inverter will hit float soon. Everything will be tickety-boo. LED on the balancer blinking away at me. Jolly good. Still looking good. Overall pack voltage is ticking up. What is nice to see is the cell deviation still only 37 millivolts. What is nice to see is there's quite a good spread over the cells. There's quite a few cells that are over 3.5. In fact, they're all over 3.5. So it's really nice spread over the cells. Cell deviation is now down to 26 millivolts. Morning and welcome to a very dark and wet Scotland. Absolutely pissing it down outside. So nothing exciting has been happening for days. It's taken me absolutely days to get some charge into the battery. The grid-tied stuff on the house has been producing a little bit of power, and I've just been able to have the WampTech power supply on to sort of trickle charge the battery. It's taken me a good few days, but I'm going to call this charged and balanced. The old DALY 1 amp balancer, after the initial charge, where I had to do a maintenance balance charge, after that, and doing a few loads of washing and all that jazz, a few cycles, I was charging it the other day with a little bit of solar and a little bit of the old power supply, probably about 10-15 amps. The balancer was still doing okay, and with a trickle charge over the last few days, it's just been absolutely fine. So I'm going to call that as a balanced and charged, and I'm going to wait for some better weather before anything exciting happens, really. It'll probably be me for the next God knows how long with this weather forecast. It'd be just trying to trickle charge the battery pack off of the grid tied stuff off of the house, save it up and then use it up. So that's my little DALY diary for now. If you give us a like, comment, subscribe, much obliged. Look after yourselves. Bye bye for now.